Have you ever wondered how we can use AI to make sustainability information more accessible to everyone? Well, then you will really enjoy today's conversation together with Andrea Gori from Illuminem. You will learn how they're able to curate sustainability news virtually in real time.
And you already see there almost unlimited news on sustainability brought to you by a mix of AI and editorially curated content. So you can imagine everything happening in sustainability live categorized, live summarized in 60 seconds for you.
The role their large network of sustainability experts plays.
We are very proud to have the largest expert network of sustainability thought leaders. So this means over 1,500 people, from head of states to top scientists, from CEOs to activists, that on a daily basis, they share with us their insights on how we are advancing in our sustainable transition.
And has number one tip for us on how we can become more impactful in our own daily lives.
Love this question. To me, probably like the biggest thing is to never stop.
Hello and welcome to the Impactful Ninja Show. I'm your host Dennis Kamprad, and today we're joined by Andrea Gori from Illuminem. Andrea, welcome.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you to everyone that listens to our podcast. It's my pleasure to be with you.
My pleasure having you as well. Now let's get into it. Give us a brief overview. What is Illuminem?
Illuminem is purely a mission startup. We want to empower the sustainable transition, this big change in the world, with two ingredients: the most insightful information and the most insightful data.
So basically, if I were to picture it as the mission-driven startup with the data and the insights and the information, what would I need to picture there to make it like a little more concrete?
Yes, of course. You can picture it very concretely. First of all, going on illuminem.com, and you already see there on one side almost unlimited news on sustainabilities that are brought to you by a mix of AI and editorially curated content. So you can imagine everything happening in sustainability be live ranked, live categorized, live summarized in 60 seconds for you. And if this is not enough, in parallel to that, we are very proud to have the largest expert network of sustainability thought leaders. So this means over 1,500 people, from head of states to top scientists, from CEOs to activists, that on a daily basis, they share with us their insights on how we are advancing in our sustainable transition. So this is very concrete in front of you. And maybe Dennis later will speak more about what we do in data that is more B2B and less, of course, B2C.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the overview. I think now we can picture it quite clearly. Let's take a step back now. Before you started Illuminem, what's your background? What did you do beforehand?
Yeah, I hope I will not make this story too long, but I like to consider myself a climate quitter. So I have literally a watershed point in my life. Illuminem changed completely my passion, my city, my life, I can say. And so let's start very simple. I was a very active student on the front line of many, let's say, environmental campaigns. After that, I had the opportunity to actually work in finance. It was the subject I studied. I actually started my career in JP Morgan. So if you want the opposite of what is today the activist world. So from a big bank trading desk in London. And then afterwards, I did a long journey for almost 8 years in the Boston Consulting Group. As you know, is a very famous consulting company. At the time, I remember very clearly because all of my mentors, colleagues were telling me, Andrea, you did the JP Morgan, you did finance, you should be like a great leader in our private equity practice. And I said at the time, no, guys, I'm here because we can do sustainability consulting. And at the time, trust me, it was less than 7 million in revenues for a huge corporation, so it was something completely irrelevant for the picture of the company. But we betted on it. And slowly, we created a leading practice area, so a leading business area for the Boston Consulting Group. I had the honor to be green champion for an entire continent, then the global green champion of the group. So representing the group, taking care of many environmental initiatives, projects around the world, helping corporations on their decarbonization transition. And after that, with colleagues actually from that experience, we took the courage of building Illuminem. So I hope I give you a glance of it, Dennis.
Sweet. So it sounds like you already had some kind of sustainability baked in from the very start when you said your studies of sustainable and about the environment. later on you transitioned, it sounds like a brief period of finance, doing something different, but then with the consulting at BCG, you went back and, well, dedicated much more time into sustainability again. And then you mentioned afterwards with a few colleagues that you started illuminem. What was the concrete challenge that you faced? So what was like the starting point for you that you said like, well, it's great leading the sustainability practice in one way or the other, but you want to do something else. You want to do something on your own. You want to do maybe a little bit more even.
Is exactly everything you mentioned. I hope I don't disappoint you to tell you that there is not an eureka moment. There is not like one night where you literally change everything. It's something that grows with you, grows within you. And in that feeling, of course, like having been at the front line of a new, let's say, part of the BCG business, so helping companies in sustainability, I was really realizing how this entire new world, what I believe would be like the new business normal, like was literally lacking so many of the foundations, so many of the services, so many of the opportunities that you now find in any other industry. And we actually started from the core. We said, guys, the problem is not to make another scientific innovation, but to enable the entire sustainable transition to literally reach us faster, to literally make it happen for real. So that was probably the big observation. And from that big observation, very methodically, we started to understand where was a market gap, where we could make a difference. Because when you start, you literally have no resources and nothing else than a lot of goodwill. So that's literally the fast realization. And hopefully, like looking at us today, already with a company with 300,000 users, with so many friends like you, Dennis, already I feel one step closer to that goal that we still have very high there guiding our way.
Nice. It sounds quite similar to my journey actually, because after university I started in consulting as well. I was looking specifically for sustainability consulting, and all the big three consulting companies didn't really offer anything like this. So I decided like a smaller boutique firm which focused on sustainability consulting, but then also in my mind it grew so much more. It's like, okay, I want to do something different. In our case, we try to enable people to make a positive impact in their lives across sustainability, but then also ethics and many different aspects. But it feels like quite a similar journey that like slowly grew to keep it going into the much bigger operation we're now. But then you also mentioned already like a big point of our 300,000 users. Can you remember still like going one step back? What was the very first concrete step? How did you get illuminem started? I imagine it takes also for you, it took quite a bit of time to hit the ground running and then to get to the first 300,000.
Yes. First of all, let me say, Dennis, that we excel in the same shoes, and this probably should be the word of encouragement to any of your listeners, any of our friends there. Guys, we can make it happen. If you start believing in yourself, like it's possible. And now, if I go back on our early days, there is no garage, there is the classic example, but there is still like all that sweat, that effort, that fatigue of trying hard without any real chance, at least on the paper. And now let me tell you, for me, the first part of the journey was to get around me people that were better than me. And I say, guys, I actually can have the good intuition, but I need your like tech skills to make a platform that is amazing with AI, with the good user experience. I need you because you're a great product person that can guide me to make the user experience amazing. I need you as well to help me with the legal stuff. I need you as well to help me with the networking. So the first concrete step was building a team of people better than me. I always say to my team, the day where I'm better than you in this room, I'm actually in the wrong room. So I need to, I love to keep surrounding myself to people that always inspire me every day for their rigor, for their willingness to make things happen, as much as for their capabilities. And the second step, right after having built this team, was to literally work on a minimum viable product. I remember we were working very late at night because when you have another job, like happens probably for many of you, you actually squeeze your weekends, you squeeze your nights to try to build something. For us was an experiment. Let me say the experiment was even giving mixed results. So, right, when you start, everyone thinks, oh my God, I built a platform in 2 months and now I got 1 million users. In reality, you have a number that is always, I actually don't know if it's good enough, not good enough. I would love it more. I would love it to be bigger. But at that point, I just felt that I was happy. I was feeling, for once, doing something that was meaningful to me, something that was having an impact on others. And so at the point we took the courage and I said, guys, maybe it's the most things we're going to do in our life. But we will always regret if we don't make it happen now. And of course, I speak to you 1.5 years after that moment, and I still have the same energy and the same feelings.
Yeah. And isn't it the most beautiful thing also when you get positive feedback from your readers or from your viewers, listeners? It's like, hey, thanks so much for that piece of content or for this other piece of content. You really like helped me make a positive impact. And yeah, at least that's the most exciting part for me always.
Literally, is that secret sauce that makes you makes every day a good day. Even when we're too tired or unhappy of a result, we should never forget that on the other side of the screen, there are real people that, thanks to us, maybe have taken a better choice, maybe have gained a skill, or maybe even better, they are now becoming other change makers, creating a ripple effect for the better.
Now, you mentioned two things as well. One, your journey was 1.5 years so far. And the second thing is just about 300,000 users or visitors. Walk us along the journey from finding the team to growing where you are today. What were the key milestones that passed along the way?
Yeah, I give a story again that too simplified because it's done exposed. But if you consider 3 steps that happened in my journey, is number 1, you build a team and you build the minimum viable product. We just discussed it, Dennis, so you got me. The second one is that you try to literally understand if the problem you're solving is a real problem for your own audience. And here, let me tell you, I got it completely wrong at the beginning. Because as any person that is believing in what he's doing, you always think, absolutely, that's the way, ragazzi, let's keep going. In reality, you never stop learning. You never stop learning from the market. You never stop learning from your friends, from your customers. And in this sense, I actually want to even recommend many books, hopefully, in this session. But it was a book called Mom Test. Mom Test was amazing to literally change the way we were looking at what we're building. So in this second step was put into discussion what we're doing and creating, let's say, not a minimum viable product, but a real platform. So I can call it build a community feeling. That community feeling is probably today the big achievement that we have. And I now move on the third phase. The third phase is you build upon this community and you start leveraging its success to deliver what is the second product. In our case, we call the data product our current goal. We now moved from having scaled the community to having data product that is now in the testing phase, is already in the hands of fast customers. And maybe we'll discuss it a bit later, but this is actually what keeps me busy now, keeps me awake at night. And let me mention a last thing. In parallel to this, because this is a very simplified story, you always have your usual 2 perennial questions. One is the funding. So you always need to be constantly in touch with investors that can choose to back you or not, can choose to believe in your vision or not. So you always need to keep that line of the phone always open. And the second one is the one about making sure that you build a team next to you, right? You want people that believe in the mission as much as you. You want people that are literally there for you. So maybe a summary of the first things: minimum viable product, community, data product, and in parallel you have fundraising and team building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many nice reflections there. One is with the team. It sounds like as if you're speaking about our team as well, which is super awesome. It's when you say believing in the mission, for example, whenever we interview people, the very first question is always what are you most excited about? And there's so many technical things or so many other benefits that they could speak about, but we only go ahead with those who identify with the mission. It's well, it's your mission of making a positive impact. That's why I want to join. And the second thing is having people smarter than yourself in the room. It's amazing working with true experts who you just really like working together with, and you see they make an impact, they know what they're speaking about. With that being said, there's already a few things that you mentioned. One, with the data, with the product. Let's keep that for the future outlook. But then also with the community, that sounds super interesting. In which way were you able to build up a community so far? And how could I picture the community from the outside, or maybe also from the inside?
Absolutely, from the insides. That's the best picture, because I think the community is a mix of being very honest and integrating what you do, and a mix, of course, of creating real values for them. On one side, you need to create the natural empathy. You need to show that you're doing something like that is honest. If you do sustainability, I always say perfection is not only in what you do, but in how you do it. So in this case, let me tell you two bold choices that I'm proud we took the courage of taking against every possible advice we have received. We are now today like probably the only media platform that by design has no paywall, so there is not a single content to be paid, and second, has no advertisement. So we literally created a business model, I always say is the new wave of medias, where like the user is a pure, let's say, benefiter of what we're doing, and he can enjoy on a very generous way. And then, of course, he can engage on cross-sellings, he can engage on selected companies, but not directly being charged to pay for what you're offering them. The second thing that I say of the community is study very well what is needed in the sustainability space in your market. And here, let me tell you how this community started. So you can see, first of all, you need to picture the market. In the market, we selected a niche that was a bit high-end in this market. So let me be concrete. Instead of talking about bamboo toothbrush, and nothing against it, we need to have also those reviews and those discussions. We selected to give space, to dedicate our front page to literally quality content that is by design a bit more long to read. It's by design a bit more technical, but was positioning immediately ourselves in an angle of credibility. So I always say today that the success of illuminem, the success of this community has been, first of all, being credible. Second step was to associate yourself to the real actors of this ecosystem. Like me and you alone will be no one. But if next to us we have the leaders of Greenpeace, the leaders of WWF, the leaders of the United Nations, the leaders of the International Energy Agency, head of states, and people with different opinion, but all of them with a common denominator, that their opinion is credible, their opinion is meaningful. At that point, you win, that game of being credible. So if I recap, position yourself in a niche of the market that is the credibility niche, the expert niche. Second, get these people associate themselves to you. And third, let the community interact almost on its own. Now we have WhatsApp group that are managed by our members. We have so many authors that write us on us every single week. And this is the beauty of seeing the community growing. And of course, it's reflected in the numbers that I see every day on our websites. And every day make me so proud that something is happening. There is a world outside there that, thanks to us, get the right quality sustainability information for free.
Now, before we look into the future, give us a brief overview. What have been your biggest challenges along the way as well?
The list is very long, actually. I should speak for half an hour on that, but no, let's make it short. So challenges, number one is to operate with a very low budget, because when you actually want to interact with top caliber professionals, it's very difficult to create something when you have a very limited budget. Second thing is to attract people, to work with you at the beginning. Here, let me tell you something again, very bold that we did. We choose not to be another startup in London, New York, or Shanghai. We said, guys, we can live by example. And in this case, we moved all of us to live in Venice. Venice is a very special city. It's a city that is the frontier of climate change. Water is arriving in front of our doors at the office. But when you go in a city where there is no big ecosystem around you, you literally need to bring the talent with you. Mm-hmm. And that bet is something that makes me again very proud today. Today we have around 20 friends here with us, people that were originally from New York or Barcelona, from Paris or London, from Seoul or give me another city, or from Zambia. And these people have chosen to be with us, right? So if I recap the question, which one of the biggest challenges? Number one, operate in a low budget environment. And second, attract the right people in an environment that makes everything meaningful.
Sweet. Feels quite similarly again. Now, let's take the opportunity and have a look into the future as well. You already mentioned something around the data product. Give us a brief outlook. What would be the future for illuminem?
Here we have a bold ambition. So remember the mission. We need to empower the sustainable transition with the most insightful information and data. Concretely, what are we doing with data? With data, we are building a product that, on one side, enable you to monitor live the environmental performance of any company, public and private. So you understand which type of transparency we bring into the market is a revolution by itself. And again, what is the intuition? The intuition is if we know a bit better, we can choose a bit better. More concretely, any product have different monetization schemes. The first way we want to monetize our data is exactly to help our best friends, our community. Our community is made of thousands of companies, thousands of people in sustainability. And these people, what they're doing solutions, amazing solution. This solution could be a software or like a new machine, could be like a type of service or a new renewable energy. All these solutions, let's call them sustainability solution providers, now have at our time to literally scale. So what we're doing now is that we're using our data to enable all these sustainability solutions to scale. And the way we're doing it is that offering them the right insights, the right leads, the right intent to make them understand where there is space for them. And of course, again, you can understand the power of this impact. Because if you help your friend that has an amazing, new type of renewable energy to be deployed at scale, in that case, you have achieved so much more than what we alone would have done just with a single platform.
Nice. It sounds like you're targeting probably also a few different groups with all the offerings that you have. One, it's the AI aggregated sustainability news, then it's community, and then it's the data. Now, for everyone listening, who would be the right candidate or the right person for each of those buckets, and how could we best join your journey?
Actually, I simplify a lot this picture because I feel that, first of all, everyone should feel part of our community if they want. This community is meant to be like of people of goodwill that are just happy to read, to stay informed, to get knowledge on sustainability. Specifically within this community, we want to help with a data solution, these sustainability solution providers. So all the people that have a sustainability solution, and I say of every kind, from a carbon solution to a renewable energy solution to a transport solution, to literally have this solution scaling. So let's make it simple. For everyone, like free quality information and knowledge. And specifically for this group of makers, we have a sales tool that help you make your solution scale.
Nice. So it sounds like on the one hand side, so if I want to consume the information, if I want to look for a solution, then would be the perfect for me to go to the community. But on the other hand side, also like if I want to contribute with more information, with a solution, then I could also join the community and just help everyone make an even bigger impact with the solution.
Exactly, Dennis.
Nice. We put the information about illuminem into the show notes as well and display them on the screen. And with this, let's have a little transition now into your personal learnings as well. If you reflect on your journey since starting with illuminem, but probably also since starting the sustainability practice with the Boston Consulting Group, how would you say has that changed your personal life, getting to know much, much more about sustainability and the importance of it?
Here I can share some tips about my mistakes, my lesson learned. As an entrepreneur, maybe a couple of tips that to me were important lesson. I can say number one, aim to be co-located with your team. Remote is a beautiful solution when you have something already scaling, something already working, but we need to build, innovate. There is no other way to be co-located. And if some team members, and it's perfectly fair, doesn't want to be working in the same room, in the same space with you, simply is probably not the right team member for that phase. Maybe you should simply welcome that person to say, amazing, we remain friends. You will be of great help when we can effectively work remotely. So advice number one. Advice number two is also about looking for people that have the right resilience, because truth is, it's much harder, much more difficult than we think. And I always remember this myself, and remember this to my team member, and I say, guys, we will not win because we are simply the best one. We will win because it's difficult to beat a team that doesn't give up. If I instead go more personal learnings, maybe here the biggest learning is purely about communicating. I see that all of us, that we are so much into our sustainability readings, topics, and good practices, we often do the error of judging, of closing up. and say, look at these guys, they pollute a lot with their car. Look at these other guys, they actually don't care about what they're eating. Look at these other guys, they're traveling so much and so irresponsibly. In reality, we can be the only change makers when we give the example. So we speak, like we walk the talk, but at the same time, when we make the others understand. So my biggest advice as a human being is never stop communicating why it matters. And this means to your mom, means to your best friend, means to that friend that you see only once a month. And you will be surprised how you're powerful when you speak openly and make people understand that something has a true purpose. So I hope I gave you those 3 lessons, Dennis, and happy, of course, to elaborate more.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds also like the connection between the why and speaking to your mom. Sounds like a perfect lesson from the book, The Mom Test, as well, no?
Actually, if you want me to elaborate on that, let me even share more, because I feel that the generation of our mothers, right, and could be our grandparents for others, or anyone that is not anymore a young person, right, is a true cultural shock when it comes to our sustainability standards. I always make this concrete example and say, look, my parents, they were born with a simple playbook. What you need to do to be a good person, someone respected in society, was to find a good job, get married, typically, buy a house, make up a very beautiful family, right? Now we arrive and say, Mom, oh my God, you got married so early, you don't have the respect for your own freedom. Mom, oh my God, you bought a house in the periphery, to go to the city center to work. Now you need to commute every day, half an hour by car. Terrible. And that house is not so cohabitated. I think is very polluting. And then you even say to your mom, you actually don't take care of a more vegan-friendly alimentation and a lot of things. And she simply doesn't understand, but not because she's not intelligent enough. Simply because she was for years and years told that what she was doing was exactly right. And so it takes time to let her understand that, yes, mom, you can actually remote work sometimes. You can actually live in a more co-living space. You can actually choose to be more independent in certain things. And there is no judgment in doing one or the other, but to just simply show that there is a new world opening up. And often behind this new world, there are real values. This is actually a game changer.
Yeah, and isn't it also beautiful to see when, with all the information and with all the impact that you're able to create, that you're also able to help those closest around you, your family. At least for me, it's always super amazing to see. It's how can I help my mom or my dad to live a little more sustainably? And then they're super proud. It's hey, look what I changed, and now I do these things instead of what I used to do before. And yeah, that makes me the proudest of all.
I'm sure your parents are very proud of it. So I know.
I'm trying. Now let's already go to the final question. If you had to share one tip with our audience how we could become more impactful, what would your number 1 tip be for us?
Love this question. To me, probably the biggest thing is to never stop learning. That's the best way to be impactful. If you always keep that curiosity can shake your beliefs, that curiosity that makes you every day go a bit deeper in something, then I feel that the right action is purely simple consequence. Too often when we don't act, it's because we don't understand the urgency of that action, because we don't understand the real impact of that action. So my biggest advice is never stop learning, because we will need all your intelligence. We'll need all of this intelligence to make this place a better place. And I'm convinced that after the right learnings, this world will be green or will not be.
Beautiful. Well, Andrea, thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks so much for all the great work that you're doing with illuminem as well.
Thanks to you, Dennis. Thanks to all of your listeners. And of course, also feel free to get in touch with me. Pass visiting us in Venice. We're always happy to greet friends visiting us. And of course, keep it green together.
Would be lovely, yeah. And thanks to everyone else so much for joining us, and stay impactful.